I had my mic on mute, so it works out fairly well for this because it means it's not too hard for me to not talk over myself because I don't have myself to talk over. So either way, to start the run, we're going to set up the minute to get a great Espeon. And you're going to see me click on the stats to show it on the layout soon. There it is. So we're going to be going for a 30 special attack Espeon with a rash nature in this case, with 31 speed. Those are two of the most important stats for the run because you want to outspeed everything and you want special attack. And Espeon is the main for the rest of the run, actually. The entire run. We're also manipulating the hidden power on the Espeon, which is not something you see in most Pokemon games. You do see it in XD as well, which has a fairly similar manip as Colo. We're going to be manipulating hidden power Grass with enough power to actually use it to take care of stuff that our secondary main, Quilava, can't. Namely water types and rock types, ground types, those types of. So here we're going to check the stats on the Espeon and also the Umbreon, but just only the HP because generally the HP values are distinct enough between frames nearby that you don't actually have to check what the actual stats are. You just need to check the HP. And here we get the introduction to the story, an explanation of the opening cutscene where we just kind of blow up this cave hideout thing. That's actually the hideout for Team Snag'em, which is one of the villainous teams in the game. As the name implies, they're snagging Pokemon, basically. And we went ahead and stole. And the game's gonna actually, the story's gonna reveal this later, but I'm just gonna say it now. We went ahead and stole a snag machine so that we can turn Pokeballs into snag balls, which allows us to snag other people's Pokemon. But we're gonna be using them for good eventually. We're not quite at that point. We're gonna be doing this quick intro battle here with Ryder Willy, who has 2 Zigzagoons. We're going to be using Taunt here with Umbreon because you can't die to the Umbreon, so might as well just not attack to save frames. And also, Zigzagoon has a chance of using Tail Whip, which, if it chooses that, then it can save you a little bit more time because the game just prevents it from using Move. That's going to be how the first couple of fights will go with this Umbreon Espeon team that is going to prove fairly short-lived, but for now, you don't have a choice of another Pokemon. There is the choice of going to the Pokemon Center and depositing Umbreon because it doesn't do anything, but for any percent, it's not necessary, and it's also pretty slow to go to the center and do all that. Here is the This is actually the shady guy from earlier while he was driving the cart. The bag turns out to be containing a person, and that is not good. So we're going to go ahead and fight him. this is going to be another taunt fusion fight, because very common theme is Espeon's going to have to do the heavy lifting for most of this run. And it helps that we manipulated special attack and speed so that it can actually do these things pretty darn well. Didn't get a successful taunt here on this fight either, but that's okay. Just a little pound. And we're going to get a free heal anyway, so all of this damage doesn't really matter. If we manipulate an Espeon with worse defense, theoretically, if we get crit 3 times before the free heal, we might die, but I've never seen that because, well, you have to get attacked 3 times, all 3 times onto Espeon, and you also have to get crit all 3 times. And you also have to be taking an Espeon with bad enough defense to actually be able to die to that. So this Espeon is good enough where that won't happen. And a common theme with my PB is actually going to be pretty decent or just flat out great luck, but pretty bad movement. And we're already seeing signs of that here as I open the bag that releases Rui. You can talk to the bag from way farther out than that, but I didn't. And either way, we're naming her one character because it saves a little bit of time, as we will see her name printed out a bunch of times throughout the run. We actually didn't name ourselves, just went ahead and went with the default name Wes because the RNG manipulation requires that. It gets broken, get the right Espeon if you name yourself A or any other character. But otherwise it would be absolutely worth it. Here, there's 3 super potions just kind of lying out here for some reason. It's pretty nice. Go ahead and grab it. Brings our total to 5 super potions and 5 potions, which generally you make good use throughout the run. Either way, though, to go on with the story, the people in the front of Phoenix City went ahead and directed us to the mayor because Escade, that's the mayor's name, is going to help us with our problem with these like weird, sketchy Pokemon, and also the people who kidnapped Rui. And in the meantime, while Escade takes care of it, he directs us over to the Colosseum, Phoenix, because it is beautiful, and why not? Why not take part or just watch or whatever? Unluckily, it's a little too full, and we're not going to be able to get in, so we just kind of turn back around. And here we get our introduction to the members of Team Snag'em, if you don't remember the bald guys from the opening cutscene. So we're going to get a little bit of backstory on Wes. He's a former member of Team Snag'em, one of the best snaggers that they've ever had, but he has turned on him, and he has stolen the snag machine, and they're here to get it back. Which obviously means another battle, and in fact another taunt confusion battle, and Team Snag'em Whacken will not put up the best of fights. Doesn't help when you have 2 unevolved Pokemon against an Espeon that has godly special attack, and has a type advantage over one of your pokes. So goodbye Corphish, and goodbye Coughing next turn. this is what a successful taunt looks like, where it just kind of displays whatever Pokemon name. You can't use whatever move because of the taunt, and it just moves right back to the battle screen. Just in case you don't know what the Espeon is, you level up here, and you should see 88 special attack, and if you're taking 31 speed IV or 27, you'll see either 70 speed or 69. Either way, we already knew it was the right Espeon, but that's just a nice little check just in case. And we're gonna go shopping. As Rui suggests, we go ahead and pick up some Pokeballs to help use that snag machine to its fullest potential. Let's go shopping here. Here in the mart, they actually don't sell Pokeballs, but they do sell something else that we really, really want. So we're going to go ahead and sell a little bit of stuff that we don't need to get the money for it. Which we're going to be getting 33x specials, which will hopefully sustain us for the rest of the run. And that guy here at the bottom of the second floor goes ahead and lets us know they're not selling Pokeballs here. But that's okay, because we know a location where we will be able to get Pokeballs. That's where we started, that's the outskirt stand. It's the last time we're going to be here on the run. The bartender inside here happens to have a stash of Pokeballs that he's going to be willing to sell us now that we've asked him about it, and he has found it. We're actually going to go ahead and sell 4 of those Pokeballs back. This lets us buy a better ball and a great ball, as commonly referred to throughout the Colo XD community. These aren't the best balls, and they're not all that great. They multiply the catch rate of a Pokemon by 1.5, but it still often means that more than half the time you're going to still see breakouts, because that's not, because the pokes we're going to be catching don't have the best catch rates, and the best case scenario are going to be trying to catch them from full HP. And as any Pokemon game would tell you, Pokemon are generally harder to catch while they're at full HP compared to at mid HP, or even better yet, really low HP. And here we actually get introduced to Mirror B. He seems to be a leader on some operation over in Pirate Town. And he also really loves this song, and so does everybody else, so... Salsa. But either way, we're going to be having a rematch with Folly, and now it's revealed that Folly is actually a peon of Mirror B. Peon is like kind of this game's version of a grunt, the same way you'd see like a Team Rocket grunt, or just like a follower. This is the first fight where we're going to see Umbreon actually do something other than taunt. Bite is its main move, and we're going to be using that because we do need a little bit of assistance to one-shot this this Lotad on the next turn, so we're going to go ahead and bite it. And Lotad chooses to use Astonish. On to Espeon. We're not going to be getting a free heal this time around, so this damage actually will be sticking on Espeon for about 10 minutes. Whereas the previous damage was just healed off after the Team Snag'em Whackin' fight. Here is Folly's friend, His name is Trudley. A common theme with the trainers and the people here in Colosseum, in the Ore region, their names are really weird. Like, there's no other way to put it. Their names are just kind of interesting. They're quirky in all of their own ways. Bite has a type advantage over the Duskull, so we're going to go ahead and use Bite on the Duskull with, like, perfect special attack on the Umbreon, depending on which Umbreon we end up going for. This Duskull can be one-shot, but this Umbreon that I'm using here is not good enough for that, which is totally excusable, totally okay. Because we're going to be ditching Umbreon after this fight, actually. Duskull chooses to use Leer, which should be the last move we see in this fight. And the good news about it is it does no damage, so you love to see it. This Makahita is a Shadow Pokemon, and we're going to be seeing a lot of those throughout the run. These are the types of Pokemon we're allowed to snag by throwing a ball at it, using the snag machine to turn the ball into a snag ball. We're not going to snag this one, because Makahita is not particularly useful. So we're just going to go ahead and kill it instead. But the thing about Shadow Pokemon, stats are completely random. Nature is completely, which means depending on what stats you can get, things can do more damage than you expect, they can do less damage than you expect, or they can take more damage or less damage than you expect. So that Makahita, depending on what stats it rolls, you actually have a 1.2% chance of not killing it with that confusion there, but clearly this confusion just went ahead and killed. And on our way out, the three colored folks who were over in the mayor's house, along with Mirror B earlier, they're guarding the three exits to Phoenix City, so we have to choose one of them to fight. And they all have the second form, the first evolution of one of the Johto starters. So we get to choose one of the three, and if we want to, we can also snag the Pokemon. Which is what we're going to do. We're going to snag this Quilava here that Rosso has. This catch rate is about 21%, so you just throw the ball and hope. And I got it on this run. So that's the first of two snags that we're going to be actually doing this run. The reason we can get away with this with only one Great Ball and one Pokeball is we're going to be cloning the item there. We're going to be, by switching the Pokeball and the Great Ball right after throwing it, the game goes ahead and duplicates the ball, so that after the battle we'll still have a Great Ball and a Pokeball, as if nothing ever happened. So, we went ahead and caught the Quilava, and now we're going to check to see its stats, to see if it's good enough to use. Seeing as this is a run that I finished, it is definitely good enough. But I'm gonna go ahead and check it now that the Rosso has left Phoenix City, and looking at those stats, it looks pretty darn balanced and fairly good. So, now it doesn't necessarily mean the Quilava is great, because nature can still be different. Nature is a key factor in how good a Quilava is, outside of just its special attack. But either way, 61 special attack is very good. And as I'm looking, there are two options for this Quilava to be either a rash Quilava or a naughty Quilava. Both of those decrease your special defense But with a rash nature, it increases the special attack, and with a naughty nature, it would boost your attack. It turns out that I went to the roster fight too fast for it to be possibly the naughty nature, so we just have a rash nature. Plus special attack is generally not the best of natures, even though rash is by far the best of the plus special attack nature. The reason for that is actually not because of anything like that. Increasing the special attack is obviously great, especially in the late game when Lava will have evolved into Typhlosion and will be basically exclusively using Flame Wheel and Fire Blast. And spoiler alert, we will be using Fire Blast. I'm gonna go ahead and take the heal machine to heal off this 9 HP for the one fight, but because that one fight is kind of terrifying. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that 9 HP back. Still can definitely die to the next fight, and it's actually the split that I'm on right here. It's Kale Split. Having a little bit of trouble here, walking through Pirate Town. The reason different natures can severely impact the Quilava isn't just the stats it modifies, but also the fact that Quilava is right now in its shadow form. It is still a shadow Pokemon, and can't get it to evolve into Typhlosion quite yet. To do that, for one, we have to get enough experience for Quilava to hit level 36 and evolve, and two, we need it to purify, to become a normal Pokemon once again, which we can't do quite yet, but we need to be able to do it once the opportunity comes up. But here, we're going to talk about the Kale fight, because this fight is something else. Completely random AI, but this Furret is absolutely frightening. So we get a turn 1 crit, which is absolutely amazing. And I get Hyper Mode here on turn 1, which is a key component of purifying a Shadow Pokemon. And also, Ralts uses Imprison, which means that I no longer get to use Confusion as long as Ralts is still on the field. But getting that turn 1 crit is super good, so I just go ahead and actually call here just to make sure. If Quilava dies, I still get 1 calling. What calling does when you call out of Hyper Mode is you get a little bit of extra purification out of Quill, so it's really good. I'm going to go ahead and kill the Furret with Return here. Not your average cow fight, but I mean, getting the Furret down is the most important part of this fight, because Furret is terrifying. The other Pokemon are less terrifying. For example, this Seedot can just use Bide, which does absolutely nothing. So each nature gets a different amount of purification from 3 things in the run, one of which is calling out of Hyper Mode, even though that is the slowest option. The other options are just battling Pokemon trainers, which is by far the best among the options because this is a speedrun. We're going to be going through the mandatory battles in the game as quickly as we can. So we're going to be doing less of everything else and hopefully more purification of the battling variety. And the other option is to just take walking steps and just advance the step count, which also advances Espeon's happiness. And now we're actually at 2 HP, so we just gotta finish the fight here. Can't do any stalling to see if we can get more Hyper Mode or anything of the sort. So we complete the fight. And with that, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of story stuff. What Kale revealed after we beat him is he has a Shadow Pokemon from winning the Colosseum challenge here in Pirate Town. They distribute Shadow Pokemon as your reward, and we we need to disrupt that plan, so we're gonna go and enter the Colosseum challenge. For now, I'm gonna have to fill up my water. And convenient thing is we're doing a little bit of story stuff anyway, so nothing too crazy to talk about. So right now, plot stuff. Silva went ahead and stole the part to power plant powering Pirate Town run, so we have to go and fetch that to save Pirate Town to restore the power so that we can do a Colosseum challenge of our own. And I'm doing a little bit of extra movement. Right now I just kind of forgot, but I'm going to do a little bit more extra movement coming up here. And that's so that we can get an extra step cycle in. Normally you have only two step cycles completed by the time you enter the Pirate Colosseum, and then you just get a string of 4 battles without any extra walking in between. But we're going to try to go for 3 here because I'm going to be going for slightly earlier experience. With the Shadow Pokemon, where on a normal Pokemon you would see an experience bar, but for the Shadow Pokemon we see the Shadow Bar. It has 5 different units. Each bar in each individual unit is 600 units long, and once we get rid of 2 of those bars, we're going to be able to gain experience on Kulava. Now Kulava's not going to you're not going to visibly see Kulava get the experience. You won't get the message of Kulava getting however much experience it gets. But you'll see all of the experience later, in about another hour. But we still need to get experience at a fairly early point. We ideally want to be getting some experience here in Pirate Colosseum, and by doing the extra step cycle, I will hopefully make it that I can. We're not going to be gaining experience for the first, 3 fights here. There is an option, depending on my Hyper Mode luck, to try to get experience on the second fight and from then on, but this run doesn't take that option. So Confusion is actually a 2 out of 6 chain range on the Sandshrew here. Oh, okay, this is the run from the other day that crit the Sandshrew, so very likely that crit mattered, and I get turn 1 Hyper Mode, so that's great. I'm gonna take an extra turn to just go ahead and call right now, because getting Hyper Mode back, or being able to get Hyper Mode at some point in the next fight, will be super great. Does mean 1 turn lost, and also Secret Power can confuse whatever it targets, so it can be really trolled, but nothing of the like happening here. So we just move on to the next fight. That's Tizzler. With bad special attack, you want to get more experience to gain more experience and more levels to help boost and offset bad special attack IV if you have bad special. With this Quilava, it has a plus special attack nature, so 12 IV isn't all that bad. So we're not gonna need to do it. Like, if I get turn 1 hyper mode, I still have the option, but this run's not gonna do it. While I don't have hyper mode, I'm just going to be double targeting for the most part with Quilava and Espeon, which is what we're going to do here as well. But I get another turn 1 hyper mode, which is great. The reason hyper mode here is great, even though I'm not going to call out of it this time around, is because while Quilava is in hyper mode, its move Shadow Rush has a basically 90% crit rate, which is absolutely brilliant. So we're going to go for a crit here on the Natu. With this attack, I have 47 attack on this Quilava. Shadow Rush crit will be guaranteed. And I get it, so that is the Tizzler fight. And for the rest of the run, or for the rest of the early game, we're going to be relying heavily on getting these hyper mode crits with Shadow Rush, because in hyper mode you can't reliably use any other move, or else Quilava can do some really not do any or attack its teammate. So you have to use hyper mode. You have to use Shadow Rush while you're in hyper mode, and you get the nice bonus that you're going to crit like 90% of the time. Here's Vilch. Here's another point where here's another fight where if you start gaining experience, you're on a good track. We're not gaining experience quite yet. It looks almost complete on the shadow bar, but it's not actually, so okay. The second bar is not quite done yet. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking hyper mode crits on everything that's not Electric. Electric has the ability Static, so if we use contact moves like Shadow Rush on it, we can get paralyzed, which really sucks. So instead we're just going to use Confusion to 2-shot it. And with this attack, that Cacnea there with Shadow Rush crit is a 15 out of 16 range, and here Vulpix is actually guaranteed. Both of these Pokemon here, Vulpix and Electric, have quick attack, but we didn't get a single one on this turn, so that's really nice. Another thing about each nature when it comes to hyper mode that I haven't really touched upon yet is that each nature has a different distribution on the chances of getting into hyper mode per where you are on the shadow bar. Whether if it's completely empty, or if you have 1 bar left, or 2, 3, 4, or all 5, you'll have a different probability depending on your nature. This Rash nature, I believe, is the more standard distribution on how often you'll get into hyper mode. So 50% on the first bar, and by now we're now on the 3rd bar, so if we actually called out for some reason, it would be a 40% chance to go back. But either way, here is Myra's. We have cleared 2 bars now, so we are getting experience on this fight. What we did here, by using an ineffective item on the Espeon and then using the X Special, we're allowed to X Special our allies and go ahead and attack with the same ally on the same turn. So that +1 confusion is a range, a 50-50 range on the Goldeen. We didn't hit it on this run. And by going to +1, it guarantees Bagon, and it also makes the incoming Delibird a 9 out of 16 range with confusion. And so my PB this run goes ahead and hits that range, so with even better attack, with like insane attack, Quilava has actually an outside shot at killing the Magnemite with Hyper Mode crit, but here it's just not going to kill, which is to be expected. And just like with all the other Colosseum fights, after this fight we're going to get a free heal, so we're going to be back at full HP, but we're going to keep Hyper Mode as we exit Pyrite Colosseum, which is great for the first fight after this. So we got out of the Colosseum with enough calls, whatever, to get experience on the Myra's fight. Like, you can take experience on starting from the next fight here, which is normal, but taking the extra step cycle to get experience on Myra's is totally worth it, because by getting Myra's experience, we're going to be able to get Typhlosion at the earliest point possible. Whereas with Nor, you'd have to wait one extra fight before you get Typhlosion. Get the evolution into Typhlosion, which is also fine, but slightly slower. And it also means slightly less experience for the late game. By the way, here's Nor. He leads a Yanma and a Pineco. Pineco can bide, much like Kale's Seedot earlier, but it also has less of a chance of doing so, I think. And also, this Yanma is a big menace. It has a bunch of different moves, like none of which are good. And it also outspeeds Quilava every single time, and it can outspeed Espeon as well. Here, Espeon goes ahead and outspeeds, so that's really good. And we also get a Supersonic Miss from Yanma, which is absolutely great. And then we crit the Yanma to make sure it dies. So we're going to be on the normal fight for Nor here, with Cypher P on Nor. And a turn 1 bide means that Pineco's not going to be selecting other moves and getting a bunch of different animations for the next turn here. And we're not going to attack it, and we weren't going to even if it didn't use bide, but we definitely won't here. Instead, we're going to kill this Surskit before it gets a chance to use Quick Attack on us by using Shadow Rush and getting a crit. Confusion here is a 9 out of 16 range, but if we miss it, we just go ahead and kill it with Shadow Rush, because now there's the spare turn for both Pokemon to target Pineco. The bite is no problem here. Let's go ahead and get the kill. And we get to go to the next fight.
So now we realize, it is revealed why Myra's, Duking here. Duking, the normal leader of Pirate Town, has kind of succumbed to Mirror B and Cypher. Because they've taken his Plusly hostage, which means we're gonna go get it back for him. He can't really do too much because his hands are tied. Then we're gonna go ahead and climb Pirate Tower, hopefully go get that Plusly back. Here's Rollerblade Pike. The Telia is a 15 out of 16 range with 30 special attack instead of 31, so, but this run's going to hit it, pretty sure, yeah. And Shadow Rush on 47 attack is not guaranteed, but it's close enough, like, it's 48 attack to guarantee it, so still going to hit the range. So with 2 calls on Quilava already, we're going to be doing one more call eventually, because after 4 bars are cleared, Quilava regains the move Flame Wheel, which is better than Shadow Rush because it has same type attack bonus, and it's also an actual special attack. Until we get to that point, we're going to be using Shadow Rush and also a bunch of attacks from Espeon. Here we're going to use the X Special glitch again to go ahead and use an X Special on Espeon and use an attack from Espeon on the same turn. Goes ahead and guarantees kills Larvitar and the Larbush that's coming in. And we can go ahead and Shadow Rush the Carvana to get a 2-turn fight. Which sends us over to the next fight. Fairly similar name, Hunter Gear is coming up here. Nice rhyme. Not even intentional, I like it. And the next fight, Gear, he's got Magnemite and Remoraid. Magnemite's going to use Thundershock, and Remoraid here detects that it can't kill anything, so it's going to use Supersonic. Magnemite is guaranteed to deal damage, so we're going to get rid of that here on turn 1, because we're going to be staying in Hyper Mode for a long time, and while you're in Hyper Mode, you can't heal Quilava, so the less damage you take, the better. Obviously, Shadow Rush deals recoil, but the minimal extra damage we take, the better. Now we're gonna go ahead and Shadow Rush the Magnemite down. Deal with another Supersonic here, this time from Remoraid. I don't remember if it hit or not. Okay, the animation plays, so it actually did hit the Quilava here. Quilava can crit and kill the Remoraid, or while it's confused, you can take the safety play of just boosting Espeon and guaranteeing the Remoraid, which at level 29 is a 6 out of 16 range. But now it's just guaranteed because we boosted it.
But for now, this is Bodybuilder Ackman. He has a Voltorb and an Electric. Voltorb is more likely to deal damage here, and it's also more like, and it deals more damage, so we're going to go for it. However, it is a 14 out of 16 range while we're not actually level 30 yet. So there's still a chance to get damage. And here at level 30, Espeon can learn the move Swift, except we don't want it, so we're just not going to teach it. We're not going to teach too many moves from level up. We will teach a couple to Espeon, because it does gain better Psychic-type attacks as the game goes on, but for now we're stuck with Confusion. I'm going to be stuck with you a little longer than still fine. Here is Ryder Nellis. On this fight, having Flame Wheel can be really good, because with Blaze you can kill the Ladybug, but we both can't get Flame Wheel right now, and also we don't have Blaze, so instead we're just going to use a Shadow Rush crit. And with this Swablu, we can just go ahead and double target it. Double target it with Confusion and a Shadow Rush crit to just go ahead and kill it here. If we're getting Flame Wheel for the next fight, you can also call here. Just lose one turn, which is fine. But we're not getting Flame Wheel for the rest of the split, so we're just not going to do that. We're just going to keep Hyper Mode so we can keep boosting our Shadow Rushes for the foreseeable future. The next fight here is Hunter Tura. He has a Spheal and a Snorunt. Spheal is going to be the one we target here on turn 1 because it has Water Gun, which deals more damage than Snorunt's moves can deal to Colosseum. So it can target Espeon, or it can just use like other useless moves, but either way, we're targeting Spheal. And again, we're not going to get Flame Wheel quite yet, so we're not going to call out of Hyper Mode. I'm just going to go ahead and keep it for the next fight. Hunter Toti. And we're gradually getting worn down by Shadow Rush recoil, which is unfortunate, but it's also kind of what happens when you use Shadow Rush all the time. But still at decent HP, and with Hyper Mode, you don't necessarily need the best HP for a fight coming up here. But here's Toti. Her Pokemon, she has a type of AI where if she can't kill you, she's just going to go ahead and use dance moves. So this Horsey, for example, has Dragon Dance, her Oddish has Petal Dance, and her Sandshrew that's coming up later has Swords Dance. If she can't kill with anything, she's just going to use one of those dance moves. So she's going to be using Petal Dance here with Oddish, because Shadow Rush, even with a crit, won't kill here with this attack. So we're going to have Hyper Mode for the next fight, Bodybuilder Lonia, which is really nice because with Hyper Mode we can go for a Hyper Mode crit on her Dangerous Poke, which is a Tentacle. She has a Cacnea and a Tentacle. Cacnea can do a decent amount of chunk damage to Espeon, but generally the scarier damage is Bubble Beam from Tentacle, because Quilava is usually at lower health, as it is in this case as well. Like here, Quilava's actually dead to Bubble Beam just flat out, if it doesn't get a Shadow Rush crit, so the good news is it's also like a 90% crit rate, and this run does get the crit. So, Tentacle is guaranteed with this attack. And now Cacnea uses Pin Missile, which takes a long time because it's a multi-hit move, and each hit gets a little bit of the animation. So here I'm going to call Quilava out of Hyper Mode because 24 HP is pretty dicey for the next fight, so we're going to go ahead and heal, I think. This is a slight execution error on me choosing Confusion on the Cacnea instead of Return, because Return does have a shorter animation than Confusion. It usually does less damage unless, like, Confusion is going onto a poke with a type resistance or something of the sort, or just immune. But generally, Return doesn't do as much damage. But it has a shorter animation than Confusion does. So if Return kills, you'd want to use that move. Is what happened on the Lotad way earlier. Back on the first split. But either way, now we're at the top of Pyrite Building, which lets us go ahead and fight some more Mirror Bee peons. This time we're going to be fighting Wreath, and then after that, Freyna, the two that have taken Silva captive. Wreath has a Spinarak, Remoraid, and Love Disc. With this special defense on Quilava, 24 HP is a range to die to Water Gun from Love Disc, so I went ahead and just healed it. Though it does mean that without Hyper Mode, this fight can be a little slower. But this is still pretty good attack on the Quilava, so Remoraid should die, but oh. Okay, I got a crit without Hyper Mode, so that's interesting. Without Hyper Mode, the Shadow Rush crit rate is just the normal crit rate, so that's interesting. So now, coming up here, is Freyna, one of the scarier fights in the early game. Just like with Kale, her Shadow Poke is also terrifying. Her Shadow Pokemon is a Mantine, and Mantine is known for being very specially bulky, and in this game Mantine is no exception. And it also has a type advantage against Quilava, but we're planning on letting it die in this fight anyway, so the fact that it's not at full HP is okay. Gonna go ahead and use Quilava, and then Umbreon next to just feed Espeon next specials. This Apom here is a 9 out of 16 range. This run does not get the range, which makes the fight slightly slower. But it's still okay. Because Apom uses agility, and then it's going to use Astonish on Espeon on the next turn, because Astonish will do more damage to Espeon than Umbreon. So instead of having Espeon attack, we're going to have Umbreon do the killing attack here on Espeon. And instead we're just going to X Special normally this time around, so that Espeon's turn is used putting an X Special on itself. And depending on what types of damage we've taken, and namely if we've gotten crit for the most part, this fight can branch farther. We can go for either the Mantine, or we can go for the Furret and leave the Mantine for last. We're going to be going to +3, which is what we're planning on doing this fight with. Here I'm not quite dead to Molbeam, so I'm just going to go ahead and kill Mantine here. Because Furret just uses Defense Curl for the most part. Here, Freyna's AI detects that Quick Attack will kill, but after healing, it realizes it won't, so it's not going to use Quick Attack. I think a regular potion would have worked here as well, but it turns out, as the run goes, like, using a super potion there instead of a regular potion works out fine too, so a little consideration there, but not too big of a deal, all things considered. Furret's done using Defense Curl, so it's now going to use Helping Hand, which doesn't matter because we're going to kill Leanna here. Umbreon is, again, wasting turns. This time it's using Snatch, which is slightly faster than Taunt, and also faster than the general quickest way to waste a turn, which is going to be a useless call on a Pokemon like Espeon while they're not in Hyper Mode. Which we will see eventually, but I don't think we see for a long time, actually, in this run. But either way, the Freyna fight's done, and we're heading out of Pyrite Building. Unfortunately, we have not found Mirror B yet, and we haven't found the Plusly yet, but we're going to get a better idea of where to go right after this fight. So it turns out, Mirror B is actually in Pyrite Cave. So we're going to be going there to Dugging's Plusly. Conveniently enough, the entrance to Pyrite Cave right here. However, there is a fight before we can get in. This is Hunter Dakum, with two Colosseum calls on Lava, and a third somewhere in Pyrite Building. This is where we're going to finally get Flame Wheel on Lava, which is very late, but it's passable because having Flame Wheel from here on out is going to be so good. Also, we get a free heal as a reward for beating Freyna, so you don't have to worry about the fact that everything was at low HP, or in Lava's case, no HP. Everything's back to perfectly normal. The Goldeen can be kind of trolled depending on what move it selects, but Goldeen just chooses to use Horn Attack, which is fine. Linoon can also troll here. He has his Linoon has Sand Attack and Headbutt, which can lower your accuracy, and it can
clinch you, whatever happens. But in this run, we get Motor Sleuth, which does effectively nothing. And now we enter Pyrite Cave. The room north here, there's 2 Hyper Potions that you can grab. I think this run chooses not to grab them. I think in the moment I was considering it, because this was a good enough run that taking a safety play like that would be totally okay. But I decided, you know what, I do have enough healing items, I don't care about that Hyper Potion over there. That box of Hyper Potions. So I'm just gonna head over to the next fight. This is Ryder Nellis. He has another Shadow Pokemon. This is a Meditite, and the Meditite's gonna be our second and our final snag of the run. Because a snagged Pokemon can have held items. For example, Quilava actually has a Charcoal on it, which boosts Fire-type attacks. We're not going to be removing that Charcoal for the entire run. But Meditite has a Twisted Spoon. Twisted Spoon boosts the power of Psychic-type attacks. So we're going to be grabbing that and putting it on Espeon. And we're going to be using Confusion on the Meditite because it softens it up to make the catch guaranteed if it breaks out, which in this run it did not. And also because killing the Bagon and getting Numel into the face quickly can be really problematic if Meditite breaks out and then Numel chooses Dig on its first turn possible. But either way, we got Meditite in the first ball, which is really nice. And we're immediately going to put Meditite's Twisted Spoon on Espeon. And we're also going to check its defense, because we're going to be putting Meditite in on certain fights in the late game. And we need to know its defense, especially in comparison to Espeon's defense. Espeon having 22 IV on this run. And I also go ahead and swap Meditite here because we're eventually going to have to do that, and I might as well do it now because Meditite is generally the backup Pokemon we're going to be sending out if something dies unexpectedly in certain fights. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, if either of Quilava or Espeon accidentally die at some point, we're going to be sending in Meditite to revive whatever Pokemon fainted, because Meditite doesn't gain experience from an opponent getting defeated, because it's still a Shadow Pokemon. And unlike Quilava, we're not going to be purifying the Meditite. And just another example of the next special glitch. Previously we were doing it with a full heal, while healing an Espeon that has not had any status condition. Here we're using a revive to do it this time around. So reviving an Espeon that's not fainted will do nothing, so you can activate the glitch this way as well. Unfortunately, Lava is paralyzed, but
still an okay looking fight, especially if it gets through your Flame Wheel. But this run does not, which is annoying. And Espeon is yawned, so if Kolava is fully paralyzed again, Espeon will fall asleep. But this time around, Kolava does get through paralysis, which is a 50-50 on whether it fully paralyzes you. So, pretty average luck there. And now, coming up here is another heal machine. So I have the option of taking it or not. This run chooses not to, I believe. Yeah, okay, it's going to be actually healing the paralysis on Kolava. So that does mean this run is choosing to skip the heal machine. Which means we're going to be doing the last fight before Mirror B. This is Hunter Zallo. His shadow Pokemon is a Swablu, which does not quite die to +1 Confusion, but we're still going to use that move. Because Swablu with like super bad HP and special defense can die, and also just softening it up so that Kolava can get the kill on the next turn is also really good, so just gonna go ahead and use Confusion on Swablu. Funny enough, we get a Confusion and a Hit Self on Swablu. Swablu has pretty bad moves for the most part. It has Fly, which can waste a turn before you can kill it. It can also use Sing and put something to sleep. So, going ahead and getting a Hit Self always feels nice. And now we're going to go ahead and kill the Swablu and Lotad with 2 beats, which gets us to Beldum and Lombre. Beldum with 61 special on this Kolava will be a guaranteed kill with Flame Wheel, whereas Confusion at +1 is 10 out of 16 range on the Lombre. This run misses the range, but gets a Confusion. I don't actually remember if it hit itself or not here, though. Let's see what happens. Okay, it does hit itself. So instead of finishing Lombre with Return it just goes ahead and kills itself for us. And on to Mirror B. This is the first of the Team Cypher admins that we're going to be fighting. And each Team Cypher admin has a Shadow Pokemon. The other Shadow Pokemon, the other admin that are not Mirror B, they have a Legendary Pokemon as a Shadow Pokemon, but Mirror B, his team is a little wacky. And it fits his style of salsa very well. Namely, he has 4 Ludicrons. However, his Shadow Pokemon is in. Either way, all 4 of his Ludicrons are different level, they have different stats, different move pools, and 2 of them have Swift Swim, and which does matter because the first turn he can possibly do it, he's going to be turning on Rain Dance.
28, the level 28 and level 29 Ludicolo's have Swift Swim, whereas 31 and 30 do not. They have Rain Dish instead, which doesn't mean anything if we can get just flat-out one-shots on both Pokemon. The level 31 Ludicolo is a 15 out of 16 range to this +3 Confusion. It's right here, and if you miss it, you lose time because, for one, Rain Dish, and two, that 31 Ludicolo has a special AI where it wants to Leech Seed you. So if that hits as well, you have a lot of time to just everything. And here we're paying attention to what types of damage we take, because Rain Boosted Water Gun can do a lot of damage to Lava, but right now it doesn't kill anything, so it doesn't kill Lava, so I'm still comfortable with letting 30 stay alive and potentially end up throwing the Water Gun at Lava, but also Mirab's AI is totally random, so... And we're going to use Dig here, which lets us avoid damage if we get targeted on Lava. But here, Ludicolo just randomly targets Espeon instead. The level 29 Ludicolo does outspeed Espeon. So, Astonish here is actually frightening. That move can flinch. But we don't get the flinch, so that's good. And Quilava gets to come out of its Dig, hit Mirab's Shadow Pokemon, which is a Pseudo-Budo. So Espeon's at 22 HP, so I'm just thinking to myself whether I want to heal it or not. And I choose to heal it, because Ludicolo Water Gun, I think, does kill Espeon at this point. Making sure I don't potion the wrong Pokemon here. Another Astonish into Quilava here is fine, because the fight's over anyway. Rain is going to expire, which means the level 29 Ludicolo is going to be slower than Espeon once more. And with that, we can just go ahead and use Confusion and kill it. That is the salsa fight. And also, thanks to the first ball, Meditite, and also OK fights, Pirate Cave, that's my first gold of the run. I think it's the first of 2. But for the next little bit of the run, it's also just really blistering fast, because... So here we're going to get a free heal, so everything's going back to full HP. Everyone's going to regain all the PP that they've lost in the previous split. And we're also going to gain Plusly. Plusly's going to join our party and join the run. Like, best case scenario, you never see it. And I don't think this run does end up seeing Plusly for the rest of the run, other than just in the party. I don't think anything went wrong for Plusly to show up. This movement, I don't even know what happened there, but you can talk to Fatine in a much simpler fashion normally, so I just messed up pretty badly. But either way, she lets us know that we may be able to find more answers about Shadow Pokemon and up north in Agate Village, which is where Rui's actually from. So we're gonna go pay her grandfather a visit. Her grandfather was once upon a time like one of the best trainers, or the best trainer in the land. So he's going to know a lot of stuff and might be able to help us with Shadow Pokemon. But first, we're going to go shopping. This is going to be our last trip for healing items, because we now have a lot of money. So we're going to get 11 Hyper Potions and a couple of Revives just in case something goes wrong. Or if we need to if we need to sack a Pokemon or whatever. So this is his grandfather and grandmother, Egan and Bella? I just don't know the pronunciations. It's too. I'm just gonna go with Egan and Bella. But Egan is summoned because Team Cypher has invaded the Relic Forest, which is here in Agate Village. So we're going to go ahead and head over and assist Egan, or try to get there to help him out. But first, we gotta deal with some Cypher peons that Egan has defeated on his way through the Relic Forest. Here is Dovin. She has a Spheal and a Carvana. Both of them have Surf, but with decent enough attack, Espeon can just go ahead and one-shot the Carvana with Return, and that's exactly what this Espeon has, good enough attack. You generally need, like, a middling or bad IV and a modest nature on Espeon for Return to not be guaranteed at this point, even though it is not at full power. Here using Dig, because Quilava has decent attack, Dig and Confusion should just kill the Spheal, and by using Dig, we can theoretically avoid Surf damage on Quilava, or if it chooses to Rock Smash Quilava, Spheal's turn is completely wasted, but it chooses to Rock Smash Espeon, which is totally okay. But it does waste a little bit of time, but no big deal. So we're going to be continuing on through Relic Forest. Here is Cypher Peon Silton. He has a Shroomish and a Cacnea. Cacnea is a one-shot with Flame Wheel, and Shroomish will be a two-shot with Confusion. So this will be a two-turn fight. With Blaze, there's like a chance for it to be a one-turn fight, because you can use Flame Wheel Shroomish and kill it, and then go for a Confusion range on Cacnea. But we don't have that, because we did not take a boatload of damage on the Dovin fight. And Shroomish chooses to use Growth in this case, and it can use Mega Drain, which doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Or, actually no, Headbutt, which does slightly more. But either way, Quilava has taken no damage, and it's not going to take damage for the rest of this little cave here in Relic Forest. Because there will be one more fight right here. This will be a common theme for some of the Cypher peons heading later in the run, that they're just going to kind of drop from the sky, or from the ceiling. So here's Cass. She has Baltoy, Ralts, and coming up will be a Curlia. The Baltoy does not die in one turn, even despite the double target we're going to do here, unless you crit, but you have to still double target it because with Cosmic Power it becomes so much harder to kill, so just soften it up, nearly kill it in this case. And Ralts is not the biggest of threats because it can use Calm Mind, and also Fusion does not deal the most of damage in the world. So we're just gonna go ahead and get both folks killed here, which lets us double target Kirlia on the next turn. And with that, we're going to be heading on to Scrub fight. Scrub has led this Cypher team take over the Relic Forest, because in the Relic Forest is the Relic Stone, which is something that Team Cypher really does not want people to get access to, because turns out the Relic Stone is where we're going to be purifying Quilava. We need to first free the Relic Stone and get Team Cypher out of here. But first, we get to watch Egan get his little crack at Scrub. I ordinarily take a bathroom break at this point, and I'm going to do just that right now, so I'll be back later. So actually that battle is pretty random, so Pikachu has Static, which can proc on the first turn, or the second turn, or just not at all, or Hitmontop can crit the Pikachu. Depending on how badly Static comes on Static turn 1, Pikachu can end up actually winning the fight, but even if Pikachu wins that fight, the game will treat it as if he's lost, and send us into the Scrub fight. So Scrub has a Hitmontop, Geodude, Clamp Pearl, and Wynot, and he can choose any combination as his leads. So here we're going to go for the Hitmontop Wynot combination. Because Quilava tanks even Triple Kick, just go ahead and try to kill the Hitmontop on turn 1. I actually nearly died to that crit, which is, like, I was not ready for it. But +1 confusion on Hitmontop is a pretty bad range, so missing it there is okay. But nearly dying was pretty scary. But either way, now we're just in Blaze as well, so we're just not really going to do too much here with the Quilava. We're just going to go ahead and use Dig on Wynot so that we don't die while it spams moves to try to double damage, whether it's counter or air coat. But because it sees Espeon using Confusion, it's going to switch back to Mirror Coat, so Dig's not going to
cause Quilava to die here. I believe that's how it works. Now, we just end the fight, and we get Blaze for not just this level, but also once we gain our experience and evolve into Typhlosion, so while this was not a gold, this is still insanely great on the scrub fight, because we're going to be saving a whole bunch of time here on battle, because we're going to be having Blaze, and we don't have to set it up. But now that we've cleared out Team Cypher, we're gonna go to Senelor here and ask for a little bit of information on Celebi and Relic Stone, which is just kind of required by the story, so just gonna get the bare minimum and head back over to Egan. Because Bila has gotten a small tablet, which will tell us a little bit more about the Relic Stone. Also, we're going to get an email from Duking, so we're going to check that. So now we know Team Cypher has taken over Mount Battle. We need to go free Mount Battle now, but before we do that, we're going to go get Typhlosion so that we have a Typhlosion. We're going to go ahead and purify Quilava here. So here, even with evolution, we're going to gain only like 28, 29-ish HP, and we're still going to have Blaze. And Blaze for Mount Battle absolutely rocks. We're also going to get the opportunity to name Typhlosion, but we're not going to name it. We're just going to go ahead and continue on with Typhlosion. It takes a while to name it, and also doesn't. With the way text shows up, naming this doesn't really matter. I'm continuing to have a little bit of trouble with movement, apparently, I guess. And now we're going to head over to Mount Battle. So the first few fights here on Mount Battle are going to be fully random, but we're going to get to a point where we're going to start getting good AI, which is going to choose killing moves if it can, and it can deal the most damage with one move. That's what they're going to do. But this fight here, Ryder Tura
This fight is fully random. Normally, you would be setting up Blaze on this fight, but because of that scrub crit, I'm actually in Blaze still, so I don't need to set up Blaze. Normally, you would set up Blaze by either having Espeon hit Typhlosion or by tanking Magnitude from Numble, but we don't need to do it. Confusion is not guaranteed on the Numble, so here, to play safely, I'm just gonna go for double targeting the Numble, but we get the kill. But the Flame Wheel is still useful because he has a Sandshrew, and the Flame Wheel is gonna just go ahead and kill that instead. So Trapinch, it can use Dig, which can be annoying, but it just uses Bite, which actually sets up slightly better Blaze, I believe, so it works out perfectly fine. Trapinch is also a range on Confusion. Range with Confusion is pretty good, so I'm still willing to go for it instead of using Blaze Flame Wheel. It's a 14 out of 16 range. And by going for the range and hitting it, it also saves one Flame Wheel PP, which is not the tightest of things, but it can be sort of tight, depending on what strats you start going for. But here is Huntadrovic. He has a Baltoy, Swinub, and a Larvitar coming in later. Baltoy is a range in Blaze, but with this special attack it's fairly okay, because this is an above average Typhlosion at this point. Plus special attack nature is going to start kicking in, especially now that it's a Typhlosion and not just a Lava. So, we get the range. So we just go ahead and just win the fight. This fight here is Ryder Kimmit. This is the freest fight here on Battle, because we just one-shot everything, regardless of whether or not we have Blaze. So, I'm just gonna go ahead and kill Sandshrew and Geodude on this turn, and then Renumble on the next turn. Here, Typhlosion gets level up to level 37, which is really nice for the next fight. Ryder Ryden, a funny name, sure. Because he also has a Baltoy, which is also a range Blaze, but because of the level up, it's going to be better than before. And he also has some other Pokemon, The Pineco just dies in one shot to basically everything, so not a problem. He has a Houndour, which is immune to fusion, and the next move that Espeon's going to learn in this fight, which is Psybeam, and also a Graveler, but you can just go ahead and use Dig on the Houndour instead. This run gets the range. It's going to be a pretty common theme in Only Map Battle here. We're going to be getting a lot of range. But we're going to also learn Psybeam. It's really good. Now Espeon gets a free turn, while Dig takes another turn to get the kill, so let's go ahead and heal it on the free turn. With minus attack and worse IV on Colava, Dig is actually a range, but this is perfectly average attack, so it will get the kill. And from here, we're going to go to the next fight, Hunter Telia. This is going to be where we start really seeing good AI kick in. One thing about these trainers from here on out, we're going to start getting somewhat random or fully random leads depending on which fights we're going to. For example, Telia is guaranteed to throw out a Trapinch, but she can throw out a Lileep or a Barboach as her other main, or her other lead. With Lileep is going to use Sandstorm, so you either kill it immediately and not take the Sandstorm, or you just go ahead and take a Sandstorm. So we're going to go ahead and kill the Lileep, so we don't get Sandstorm, but instead we're going to get a Dig from the Trapinch. So from here, you get the option of either healing to tank Dig, because Dig is guaranteed to go through now that it has used the move. Or you can go ahead and choose to Dig yourself as well, so that the Trapinch's Dig misses. In this case, I choose to just go ahead and tank the Dig by healing. So I live, but now I'm on really low HP, so I'm going to be dead to the next fight. But at the same time, I do want to save my one regular potion for the Cypher Lab coming up later in the run. So instead of healing to tank one of Street Performer Norx's Pokemon, we're just going to go ahead and take a slightly safer strat. And by safer, I mean we're going to be using Dig instead. Dig to make sure we avoid Spenda's Psybeam. Spenda is a range with Flame Wheel, but if we miss at this point, we're just dead, so we'd either have to heal to go for it, or we'd have to just not go for it.
So we just go for a 2-shot, where we just gang up on Spinda instead. This Kadabra is not going to immediately kill Typhlosion here because it's going to use Future Sight, which does not hit immediately. Here I call Espeon to waste a turn because I just want to go for Blaze Flame Wheel. At level 38 this would be guaranteed, but I haven't hit that level yet, so it's actually not guaranteed. But thank goodness Kadabra uses Kinesis here, which does nothing because we're just going to have Espeon do the killing here instead of Typhlosion. Weird movement there, but okay. But either way, the next fight here, this is Hunter Weeg. He's guaranteed to send out Graveler, but he can send out either his Sandslash or his Vibrava as the second lead. In this case, he goes for Sandslash, which is the better lead. Especially if you hit the Sandslash range, which this run will. Because by hitting the range, it just means we don't have to deal with any digs from Sandslash. And because dig would mean that Typhlosion also has to dig, and Espeon can't kill it while it's at it, so it has to take an extra turn to kill it instead. So instead, we just get a 2-turn fight. That crit does not matter. There are some cases, if Espeon has lost experience already at this point, he would have to equip the experience share and fight early, which would make Psybeam a range, because he would no longer have the Twisted Spoon. But either way, as I have just mentioned, we're going to be equipping the experience share here on Espeon. Once I find the experience share, because we're going to need an experience boost on Espeon for the rest of the run. Like, at this point, Typhlosion has more experience than Espeon, and we need that to change. Because Espeon needs to get the levels more than Typhlosion does, especially for the next couple of splits. And here's Cypher Peon Kyson. So now we're going to really see the Cypher Peons and Team Cypher here on Map Battle. There are two ways this AI can go, depending on whether Typhlosion is dead to Bite or not. In this case, Typhlosion is dead to Bite, so Houndour is going to go for Bite on Typhlosion. Well, Typhlosion is just going to avoid it with Dig and then kill Houndour on the next turn, so that's going to be what happens here. And because we have Blaze, Curly is going to be guaranteed with Flame Wheel, so Duskull does not use any useful moves because it can't kill anything, so it just uses Foresight instead. So that's the Kyson fight, and we're going to go fight the next Cypher Peon, and that is Baron. And it's not spelled as the title Baron. It's a different spelling, and I'm just assuming it's pronounced Baron. I don't see any other pronunciation that would make sense for that name, so we're going with Baron. So Baron
his leads are guaranteed to be one Geodude and another Geodude. They both have careful natures, which can be kind of annoying, but with Blaze, Flame Wheel can kill him, and because we have 12 special attack and a plus nature, Flame Wheel is going to be guaranteed on Geodudes, so there's nothing to worry about in this fight. Just head on to the fight after Baron, which is Cypher Admin Dakum. And Psybeam is even more guaranteed of a kill than Flame Wheel is, which is also guaranteed. So, and then he's going to send out Sand Slash, but he doesn't have any other follow-up poke, so we can double target the Sand Slash. Or Helping Hand Blaze, Flame Wheel, the Sand Slash. So either way, the fight's done. So we head over to Dakum. Dakum is one of the Cypher admins, and he is one of the 3 admins who has a legendary Shadow Pokemon. His Shadow Pokemon is an Entei. But before you get to the Entei, he's going to send out all of his other pokes. And he is guaranteed to send out Metang and his leads. On worst special attack, Flame Wheel can be arranged, but here it's going to be guaranteed. But his other leads can be either a Marshtomp, or you can be sending out a Golem or a Camerupt. He cannot send out his Shadow Pokemon as a lead. That is not something the admins are going to do. The admins are going to be sending out their Shadow Pokemon last, regardless of what happens. And that's something that even Mirror B did with his Sudowoodo. So this run gets Golem as the lead, one of the more common leads here. So what we're going to do here is Metang's going to use Earthquake and Golem's going to use Protect, so we get a free turn to X Special. And we're going to go ahead and kill the Metang before it gets its Earthquake off. And it's going to send out Marshtomp next. Marshtomp can't kill anything at these HPs, but it can be pretty annoying because it can use Mudshot on Typhlosion, which does about 50 damage. But with this defense, it's going to do less, because this Palava has really good defense. And it hits, which is to be expected. If it doesn't hit, because it does have like a 5% chance of missing, that can be really nice, but it doesn't end up mattering. And we're going to use Dig so that we avoid the next Mudshot that's coming in. And we just go ahead and kill everything else. So Camerupt will be down. And that means Dakum has no choice but to send in his Entei, which is not necessarily the strongest of legendary Pokemon, but at this stage in the game it can be sort of threatening. Like, Fire Blast on Espeon does half of its health, or in this case, actually more. But in this case, in this run, I actually get a Fire Blast miss here. Which, funny enough, is the first Fire Blast of the run, and it missed. And we're going to be getting a lot more of those Fire Blasts. Fire Blasts. How did I say Fire Blasts? like fire glasses? I don't know. I guess there's like fiberglass. Fire glass would be Aura's version, I guess. But either way, the fight's over, and we're gonna be doing a lot of story stuff for the next almost 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go on mute, make sure I can like clear out my throat and all that. But first we're gonna get the F disc, because we do need to get it. The game's gonna force us to grab it. And then we're gonna free up. We're also gonna save the guy here. His name is Vander, the guy who got punched earlier. And he's gonna give us he's gonna give us a flute in return, which we're not gonna use. And instead, we're gonna go return to Agate Village to report back to Egan, get his PDA number, then we're just gonna open up the one map that shows up, but we're not gonna do too much there. Kinda can't. So, this mystery lab is going to be important later on in the run, but for now we just have to go there, and then just can't get inside yet. Instead, we're gonna go get this jail key, which opens up this jail cell. Using the jail key, menus can be kind of laggy, so doing that type of mistake is unfortunately fairly common on my end. But either way, Reese is asleep, but she has an elevator key for the elevator in Pyrite Building. So we're going to be using the key to head down to see what is under. And when I say what is under, it is actually called the Under. So we're going to be heading to the Under. We're going to be doing a lot of story stuff now, because this is a place that has developed over the years here in Ore as at first a place for like the mining workers to stay, but now it's just kind of a whole community of its own. A whole place of its own, and in charge is Venus, who is also a Cypher admin, and someone's infiltrated. Like, Rui thinks it's us, and there's all the reason to assume it would be us that she's warning people about. So here, we're just gonna do some more story stuff. This is the hotel. Going to the guy at the reception, he can heal your team for $1,000, but we don't need to because we have enough health and we have enough PP. Specifically PP. That's more important in this case. And we have enough of it, so we can just go ahead and head on forth. There's also 3 hyper potions in an item box over to the left of the hotel, but We also haven't really used any of our Hyper Potions, so we don't really care about it. Instead, we're just gonna get through this area as quickly as we can. So now we see Ascor. He's somewhere. He's the guy that we saw a lot earlier in the run. He's in charge of this whole Cypher, Team Cypher. And Venus and this guy, Ein, they report to him. They're also Cypher admins. We haven't met either of them in person yet. We will soon. In fact, Venus is going to be the next fight we do. First, we're gonna head through the Under, do some more story stuff. We're gonna turn in the power-up part from that Burr gave us. We're gonna give it over to Net here. This is a little house of kids. Net, a Bit, Meg. These three are in here, and they are this sort of resistance here in the Under. Resistance to Team Cypher. And let's turn it in, and we're going to get their PDA number so that we can come back for a little bit more help from them later on in the run. But first, they found the spy. And the spy is actually a familiar face. It's Silva. And in maybe the least suspicious thing that we can possibly do, we go ahead and talk to Silva. And he gives us the R-Disc, which is an item that is only useful here in the Under. And we're going to be using it quite soon, but first we're going to go for our last shopping trip of the run. This time we're not getting healing items, we're going to be buying TMs. TM17 teaches the move Protect, which is totally useful in a game like this, where AI is going to be attacking in a fairly predictable manner. And then we're going to buy TM38, which is Fire Blast. And then TM10, which is Hidden Power. So we're going to be teaching some of those moves now. We're going to be teaching all of them, except for Toxic, because that's a useless move. So we're going to be teaching Espeon Hidden Power. Palava also has a good Hidden Power in Grass. The problem with it is it just doesn't have any power to it. 34 power is just not enough to be worth teaching Typhlosion. So on this run I just don't teach. I don't buy an extra Hidden Power for a Typhlosion, I don't teach it, obviously. Instead we're going to be overriding the useless moves. So no more Smoke Screen, no more Sunny Day, no more Reflect, no more Hyper, no more Helping Hand. Instead, we're going to be replacing them with Protect and a good attack that we're going to want to use. So here is Venus. She has 3 different lead combinations. She's guaranteed to send out her Delcatty, but as her second lead she can send out Steelix, Banette, or Vileplume. And we'll see what happens here. Okay, we get Steelix. So Steelix, it is a terrifying Pokemon because it has the move Earthquake, which absolutely obliterates Kolava. Especially because we're not at full HP. So, go ahead and use Protect on both Espeon and Typhlosion, so that we don't just get completely destroyed by Earthquake. And also Delcatty wants to use Attract. with really bad defense on Quilava, she'll actually use Attract on Typhlosion instead of Espeon. But it takes really bad defense for that to happen. But now Steelix is not going to use Earthquake again because it sees the Delcatty is in range to die to Earthquake, so instead what Venus is going to do is she's going to use a different move. In this case it's going to be Taunt, because the AI is just predictable that way. And now we're going to boost Espeon so that Banette gets killed here by Psybeam. Again, Steelix will not use Earthquake. Instead, it's going to use Rock Slide now that one of the pokes has been taunted. Which is going to hit Typhlosion in this case. And this is the first Fire Blast that we're going to be sending out in this run. Because from full HP at neutral special attack, you need to Fire Blast to kill the Steelix. So that's what we're going to try to do. And we hit. If you miss here, you get Earthquake, and that hits both Suicune and Espeon. Here I actually use Protect. I have enough speed to outspeed Suicune, so using Dig here would have been better. But, like, altogether it still gets the job done. So that is the Venus fight. A lot of things can go wrong, and because Fire Blast is a move, things have definitely gone wrong before. And also, Steelix can crit the Delcatty, which on this strat means that you have to actually swap out and sack Meditite. Either way, we're done with the Venus fight. So, we're gonna go chase Venus as she runs away. Through the under. She's gonna be heading towards the subway. And we're gonna make sure that we catch her. However, on the stairways that goes down, we're gonna have to do a couple of fights. And these fights are actually really hard. Weirdly enough. So this is Hunter Freyna. This fight is not the hardest of all fights. Outside of her Shadow Pokemon, everything dies in one shot. There's Psybeam, and this special attack, the Jigglypuff dies, is guaranteed to die to Flame Wheel. So we're gonna see her Shadow Pokemon come in here. And that's gonna be the Gligar. Double targeting with Flame Wheel and Psybeam is a range on this Gligar. A pretty favorable one, especially with this special attack on Quilava, or Typhlosion. Excuse me about that. So we're going to double target here. Freyna's AI, outside of the Gligar, is to use fake tears to lower someone's special defense. So, fake tears doesn't do a whole lot in this game. In XD, it's actually one of the best moves that you actually use, because the X special glitch does not exist in XD. So instead, the Teddy Ursa, eventually Ursaring, can just use fake tears to lower someone's special defense by 2 stages, effectively making the next hidden power or Psybeam or whatever a +2 move without actually using an X item. But here, we just go on to the next fight, which is Lyax, Chaser Lyax. She has a Stantler, which is a pretty bad range with just Flame Wheel and Psybeam, so even with this special attack, I'm going to be trying to Fire Blast it. The good news, though, is with this Speed IV on Typhlosion, it's still pretty favorable to outspeed Stantler. With worse attack, Telia here is a range. I don't know if it's a range on this attack, I don't think it is. But there's strats for either option, so it's acceptable to miss the range. Here is Stantler. Stantler generally attacks Espeon, but with really bad defense on Typhlosion, it can actually shift over to Typhlosion, which is a thing we call shifted AI. But here, Quilava's defense is insanely good, so the AI is definitely not shifted. So Stantler is going to aim a takedown here at Espeon. And we get confirmation from this turn that Typhlosion is indeed faster than Stantler, which is really nice. And judging by that roll, I'm thinking that would have meant that if I went for Flame Wheel there, it wouldn't have killed. And also, Espeon, we're going to decline Psycho, we don't want that move. All of the stat boosts we're going to give Espeon, we can do on our own. We don't need to try to copy others, because no one else is going to actually give us particularly good stat boosts. And here is Bodybuilder Lonia. He has a lot of weird pokes that can be really annoying. This Masquerain, for example, we absolutely need to Fire Blast it, and Octillery is a range with hidden power, which is our best move for dealing with it at this point in the run. And if we miss the range, it has Octazooka, which deals super effective damage to Quilava and also lowers its accuracy. So this range is hit. We hit what is a 10 out of 16 range. Excuse me, 10 out of 16. And we miss. Which means Stun Spore has not hit yet, and instead we can try to just get some hits with Fire Blast. And here we hit. And coming up here is a Piloswine. We also have to Fire Blast this. And that is exactly what we are going to do. But first, we're going to get paralyzed. Dunsparce's Headbutt would deal more damage to Espeon than its Water Pulse would deal lava, so in this case it just stays on targeting Dunsparce with its AI. is why you get glare on Espeon. And now we get a headbutt onto Espeon. As further confirmation, it was shifted onto Espeon, I guess. But hey, we have Paralyzed Heal, so... And Typhlosion has a free turn, so it just goes ahead. So we can go ahead and just heal Paralysis during the fight. And head on to the next fight. The last fight for a little bit. This will be Ryder Nellis. Nellis has quite a few scary pokes. Also 2 really easy. Corsola and Viper, which are both easily killable by Espeon with Hidden Power and Psybeam respectively. But she also has a Sneasel, which outspeeds Espeon and can deal a good amount of chunk damage, and a Loudred, which doesn't die to a whole lot of stuff, so... And we get both of them at the same time, the worst of the combos that she can give. And we only have 1 Fire Blast, so... It's especially annoying. Because we have to choose which one we're going to Fire Blast. And we have to choose to Fire Blast Loudred. And if you miss here, it's super scary. But we get the hit, so... The bad stairs gets a little better. However, we don't have any Fire Blast anymore, so we just have to hope Flame Wheel either kills or crits or something on Sneasel. And Shadow Rush at this point, we're at 44 HP, is a pretty middling range on killing Espeon. And unfortunately we don't get a kill here. So, and because Sneasel outspeeds, I have to protect here and waste a turn. And Corsola is going to go for a Confuse Ray, because it can't kill anything. And it will Confuse Ray the Typhlosion here. But Confusion doesn't matter at this point because we don't care if Typhlosion gets through, because we don't need it to. We just go ahead and kill it with Hidden Power. And we get a free heal. Which puts us at full HP and refills, and most importantly refills our Fire Blasts for the next section. But we're not going to get a few fights for a while. Instead we're just going to be picking up items and progressing the story. Gonna chase Venus here. And she's gonna pull a big brain play here. She's gonna pull a gamer move. And deke us out. Thinking that she's just gonna drive away in the subway. Oh no! Can't access the key! And in gameriest of gamer moves, she drops the key that she was trying to keep away from us. Good job. So we get to go ahead and operate this Shadow Liner here in the Under Subway. So we get to go see where this takes us. This is going to actually take us to a place that we've been to before. That's the Cypher Lab. Lab that we actually just kind of stopped by earlier. It's actually the Cypher Lab. And these two peons, they're going to realize that we're Wes and Rui, and we need to not get in. So they're going to do this to make sure we can't get in. Which, for all that it's worth, kind of works for a little while.
Now, of course, we are going to get in, but we just have to take a longer way in. Notably, we grab that, the main gate key. Which is definitely not a thing you want to forget. But either way, we're back. We're back in the Under, and we're gonna be heading out. So with good movement, taking the stairs back up is faster than waiting for the elevator and taking the elevator, but I'm on keyboard mouse, so my movement is just kind of guaranteed to be bad. So I just take the elevator every time. Because taking the stairs saves, I believe, a second? I actually don't know. But it's not worth it for me because I'm just not going to save that time. Instead, just head on out. This door, unlock now. And by unlocking it, we get an easy way in and out of the Under. And we're going to be taking this elevator instead of the previous one from earlier. Because the previous elevator is deep in Pyrite Town. So, and meanwhile, that's the exit to the Under. So now we go to the Shadow Pokemon Lab. Some menus let you just mash A to use whatever item that you want to use, but this one does not, so I messed up there. And we're going to press this shutter switch to get through this side of the Shadow Pokemon Lab. And by doing that, we're gonna get access to the area that was blown up. But first, we're gonna go ahead and fight some researcher here. Been for some reason sent to this area to do basically nothing, I think. Which I can't tell what. This is researcher Myron either way. He has 2 Voltorbs. Usually the Voltorbs will target Typhlosion with Spark, and in this case that's exactly what will happen, so what we're going to do to get around that is we're going to use Dig. And Espeon's Psybeam PP is not the biggest of deals because we're going to be getting rid of Psybeam for an even better move coming up quite soon. In fact, on the next fight, but the next fight's going to take a little take a little while before we get to it. The reason we fight Myron here is Myron is going to drop a key that we need to get through. The card key will get us through to the deeper parts of the lab. While we're here, we're also going to go ahead and pick up 3 elixirs that were in the area that was blown up earlier. This one you can mash A, because the main gate key was used, so. So we just do that. Now we head to this left path to get some more items. On the right there was a sparkling item. That is a DNA sample. We're going to be picking that up on the way back, because we will backtrack eventually. But first we're going to fight Cypher Peon Cole. This will be the last fight where we're going to be having an experience share. And after this fight, Espeon will hit level 44.
which is really good because we have 3 rare candies from earlier as well. And altogether, that means we're going to be able to get Espeon to level 47 after this fight, and at level 47 it learns the move Psychic, which is by far the best move in the game, and we're going to be able to use that for the rest of the run. But first we have to go to +1 because we don't have Psychic yet. That Fairy Swipe's miss is pretty nice. Unfortunately, we get a Fire Blast miss here. So the Fairy Swipe's miss doesn't really end up doing too much. Honestly, if I was going for even more safety, I could just dig here, but it's just not worth it, I think. And I hit the Fire Blast, so who cares? So now we hit level 44. And I speak from experience when I say this. I've forgotten to use the rare candies on Espeon. So I take a little bit of time to make sure that I do that, because I, at this point, am insanely nervous. To put it nicely, so. So we go ahead and get Psychic here. And also we're taking the experience share because we don't need Espeon to get the crazy boost of 50% of Typhlosion's experience anymore. And in fact, Typhlosion needs all the experience it can get to reach a level threshold for later in the lab. Like, if I had Village experience, I'd have a little more experience on Typhlosion, and I'd be actually open to leaving the experience share on for this fight, Search of Corrin, which would give me a nice safety level threshold for Espeon. But at this point, it's more important to have a level threshold on Typhlosion, because not having level 50 for Dakum 2 does not always matter for Espeon. Either way, all 3 combos are possible of Magnemite, Magneton, and Electrode. And we're going to need Typhlosion to deal with at Magneton anyway, so Espeon gets a free turn. What I'm going to do with this free turn is I'm going to hit Typhlosion into Blaze. And using Psychic on your ally can crit, which is something that I've done many a time before. But here, you get 25 HP on Typhlosion, which is actually really darn good. Like, it's like, I think, 1 HP higher than what we need, which is, like, perfect. So we get the down street key? I don't know what the ST stands for. Like, it just has to be street, right? But either way, now we're gonna go collect that DNA sample that we saw earlier. And with that, go fight Cypherpeon Lair. She has a Shadow Murkrow, but she also has some other pokes. We're in Blaze, so we have to be very careful to not die, because everything's going to kill us.
most notably in this case, Water Pulse from the Carvana. I'm taking a long time to make sure I don't mess up, I guess, at this point. And Espeon goes ahead and kills Houndour here. With this Speed IV on Typhlosion, we're likely to outspeed the Murkrow that's coming up. So I'm just going to go ahead and kill both of these Pokemon right now. And by doing that, that lets me double target Murkrow so that I don't have to Fire Blast or anything stupid of that sort. But if this Murkrow outspeeds, it has Nightshade, which absolutely kills Typhlosion at this HP. Because Nightshade deals whatever the level is, and Murkrow here is level 43. But we get the outspeed, so we're good. The next fight, well actually first we're going to go check for a DNA sample. This room to the left. There's one right here. There's not another one in the cell to the left, but there is an outside chance that can have another DNA sample. There's like probably a 1% chance. Either way, we're going on to FRP on Mana. This fight is the easiest fight in the Shadow Lab. So this is generally used as a chance to look at ranges for later in the lab. But here, with this combo, it's a little troll because I have to let Swablu get a turn, but it doesn't see any kill ranges at all, so it just goes ahead and uses Safeguard. So instead, by double targeting the Pupitar, we get to kill the Fortress that comes in. And even if Zubat somehow came in, Flame Wheel kills that too, so. But we need to use Psychic to kill Swablu here. So that's what we're gonna do. Now, I should probably mention the DNA samples. The reason we're picking those up is because we can check what the DNA samples are. So they can be samples of DNA from one of 9 Pokemon, and the Pokemon that show up when we check whatever the DNA is for, those will be part of the passcode for a lock here in the lab. But the combo, the lock has a 3 Pokemon passcode. We're not going to go find the 3rd DNA sample because it just takes too long to find it compared to however much time it takes to just guess what the password is, because you do get an infinite number of tries at the passcode. So instead we're just going to skip all of the other places that theoretically can have DNA samples at this point. Like, the room to the left of where we are right now has a room with samples, and it has 2 spots where it can have the samples, but we're not going to go check. We don't care. Because we're totally just going to guess it first try. Something that I've done quite a few times before. Like, I think this run does not get the first try, I guess, but it still gets a fairly... Actually, it doesn't get a very good guess, I think. I don't remember. But either way, like, if you know 2 of the 3 in your passcode, then you're just guessing 1 from 7 other Pokemon, so... Like, assuming you don't, like, misclick some weird guesses, you're going to get through by, at worst, 7 guesses. Either way, except for Tanny, she has a Granbull, which can be really frustrating. But with this special attack, I don't need to Fire Blast it, actually. Which is super nice. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use Flame Wheel on Vigoroth instead. Psychic is a range on this Granbull, especially given the variable stats, but we get the range, so continue on just as normal. So now we're going to go check on the DNA samples. So we see Sudowoodo and Misdreavus. And now we're going to go continue on with the lab and hopefully survive. And hopefully get a pretty quick passcode guess. Either way, here's Researcher Koton. Koton is guaranteed to send out Magneton and Electrode as the leads, and has an Ampharos in the back. Magneton and Electrode just die in one turn, regardless of whether you have Blaze or not. On the next turn, Ampharos is a range to Psychic with Spoon, but we can just double target it so that it doesn't matter whether or not we hit the range or not. Though it does have Static, so if we have to Flame Wheel it, we can get paralyzed. But there's also an option, if you die on the Granbull fight, to just go ahead and set up Blaze on Ampharos, in which case you would have to Fire Blast the Ampharos in Blaze. But we have Blaze, so we don't have to do anything of that sort. And we get the range, a 7 out of 16 range, so unfavorable. But hitting it is nice. And just like that, we get level 43. Or Cypher Peon Remel. She is guaranteed to lead her Shadow Vibrava. But first, we need to refill our Psychic PP, so we're going to do that. It's also an opportunity to refill Fire Blast, but I also have a bunch of those left, so don't need to. I still have 3, I think. So Remel chooses to send out her Swellow. With level 43,
using Fire Blast on the Kecleon is going to be guaranteed, so we can just go ahead and double target Vibrava, while Swellow charges up Fly. So we're just going to go ahead and use Protect next. But first we're going to try to hit a Fire Blast here. And we hit, and get the kill. This Fly is aimed at Typhlosion because it would kill it, so you just go ahead and Protect. And Kadabra is a very weak Pokemon in terms of physical bulk, so Return will just go ahead and kill it. I also get a nice little glimpse at my Fire Blast PV. I have 2 of them, which is perfectly fine. And it also means I don't have to use an Ether quite yet for the next fight, which is actually a fairly familiar face. First, we're going to have to guess the password now. No, it's Mischievous and Shadow Sudowoodo. You can actually go diagonally on the keypad, but I'm not good at it because I just don't know what I'm doing. So I just take the very slow menuing of just down, right, and such sort. So Fire Blast on Wobbuffet and at this special attack is actually guaranteed. But with this combo, I need to hit a Fire Blast on Hitmontop here, or else I can die. I can and will likely die, actually. I should say that. Here, I actually think that's a slight misplay to just go for the Fire Blast on Wobbuffet, because if I miss, I have to fight. Just go for more Fire Blasts. But I think I hit, yeah. Alright. I think it actually was sort of fine. I don't know. But either way, not punished. And now we head over to the Cypher admin in charge. We already saw him earlier. His name is Ein. But first I need to Ether Fire Blast. Also, I just go ahead and take a little quick heal on Espeon, because I have like 10 Hyper Potions left. Why not? Even though at 100 HP, not gonna die. So this is the Ein fight. Depending on your level and your speed, you can be faster or slower than the Golbat. And in this case, I am faster, but I get a bad combo here, as of course. So here, what we're going to do is we're going to kill the Huntail and protect Typhlosion, because Typhlosion can't do anything to either of the leads, to put it nicely. And both of them would absolutely obliterate with Waterfall or Hydro Pump, respectively. So we just protect Typhlosion. And here we get Golbat. So this is an interesting move here. We use Psychic on Lantern even though it won't kill. By doing this, we keep
the Golbat and Lantern combo out for one more turn, and both of them are going to target Typhlosion. So we're going to go ahead and dig to avoid the Wing Attack and the Hydro Pump. And instead we're going to Psychic Golbat, which then puts in Altaria and Raikou together for the next turn. Because Dig is going to finish off this greatly weakened Lantern. And Altaria can't kill Typhlosion at this point, so what we're going to do instead is we're just going to go ahead and next special Espeon and use Psychic on Raikou, which I believe Shen has a clip of him missing this range. It's a really favorable range, +1 Psychic on Raikou, but I believe Shen has missed it before, and I don't know who else has. But it's probably not just him. But either way, goodbye Raikou. Altaria can use Fly or Pursuit at this point, who cares? If it's Fly, we have to protect and lose a turn, but it's okay. But it doesn't even see that it can kill... It actually targets Espeon, which I was not ready for, actually. So, return, might as well just heal, even though from 115 HP, it's still not going to do too much to Espeon. So yeah, successful Lab Blaze, with an assist from having good special attack. My previous PB died to the Gramble, so about a minute time save from just Lab Blaze and not dying there. Probably a little more than the 50 seconds that are the hero execution. Pretty slow, because I'm nervous, and I don't want to misclick and just die. Because this game is insanely punishing, even though so far this run has not looked the part. But either way, we are done with the Shadow Lab, so we can leave. We've gotten what we got, what we came for. And that's the data ROM. We also picked up the Earthquake TM on the way, which is really nice. And we can finally leave all these sirens that were warning people about us. And back to the Under. Gonna head back to Net's place, give him the data ROM, which he can make use of. And in the meantime, we're actually not going to see any more of the Under after this. This is our last trip to the Under. And our last trip to Net's place as a result. And we're also going to do a little bit of a menu, make sure we have enough Psychics for the next few fights. So we're heading to Realgam Tower, which is actually the construction site that we saw a lot earlier, back when we retrieved the machine part for Pirate Town. So now, some undisclosed amount of time has passed since then, and they've turned the construction lot into Realgam Tower, which is a majestic place, actually. Unfortunately, also the home to a very villainous team, but still beautiful. In Realgam Tower is a door that we need to get through. However, it is locked behind by... And the only way to unlock it is to get 4 ID badges and to put them in. And the ID badges are held by, actually, the Cypher admins. First one we're going to fight is Dakum. So we get to refight Dakum. And for like the last minute or so on my muted mic, I've been saying, give me a fortress, give me a fortress, give me a fortress. Basically everything that's not Entei can be valid leads for this fight, so we get a fortress lead, which is so good. The reason it is so good is because Fortress's partner is going to use Earthquake, and with Fortress, the only way to not take damage from that is it's going to use Protect. Which gives us a free turn to X Special Espeon. And Flygon's also going to use Protect. So, or no, Flygon's also going to use Earthquake, so in this case Fortress actually went for Protect. I'm not actually sure why, but it did. And it actually got the double Protect, so a little troll, but it's okay. Also, Typhlosion also tries to learn the move Swift, but we also don't want it to learn that. So we just decline it. And fortunately enough, Dakum's not going to try to get a triple Protect off, so now Fortress does not Protect. And now he sends out Entei. And with that is the end of the fight. And coming up will be our next refight, which will be Mirror B. Hey Stevie, thank you for the good luck. I'm just doing commentary on a run that I did the other day. So, I finished. Yeah. Voice. Hang on a sec. Here, we're gonna head to Mirror B. Mirror B does not have as many Ludicolo's anymore, and the worst part about Mirror B at this point is he's not going to put on the salsa music. He is not going to do that. Similar to Dakum 2, Mirror B can also send any of his 4 non-Shadow Pokemon in. I was about to say non-legendary Pokemon, but his Shadow Pokemon's pseudo. That's not a legendary, so I have to say non-Shadow Pokemon. So he chooses to send out his 2 non-Ludicolo's, Loudred and Golduck. Which is actually a pretty troll combo because Typhlosion can't do too much at this point, so... And we need to boost Espeon, so... To do this, Espeon's going to take a Surf and an Earthquake, which is very slow. Not to mention Golduck's also going to get hit by Earthquake here. But hey, look at that. With this type of special attack, we can just go ahead and Flame Wheel the Loudred and Fire Blast again. Like, a bunch of ranges are just guaranteed by this great nature. Really good in the late game.
not particularly good, but not super bad. And now, Ludicolo, the two Ludicolos show up. Level 44 has Waterfall, and the level 45 has Dive. So here I'm going to go for a Fire Blast on the 45 instead of the 44, because if I miss, the 45 Ludicolo is just going to use Dive instead of Waterfall, so I don't instantly die to it. I certainly do lose time to it, but I don't die. That's the key for me at this point, because I'm ahead of PB, which is actually 331 pace for, like, all the way up until a pretty good while, and I just don't want to die. I'm nervous. So I missed the Fire Blast. No, we get to see the Fire Blasting the 45 instead of the 44 in action. So protect the dive, and then take Typhlosion's free turn to heal Espeon again. I take a little bit of time out there just to check how many Psychics I have on Espeon, and I have 3, which is fine. Does lose a little bit of time, but you kind of have to expect something like that, because it's Fire Blast. And hey, it's one of the least harmful Fire Blasts to miss, because you don't just die. Coming up, this is the Venus 2 split. Venus 2 will be a fight where missing Fire Blast is very costly. So the best case scenario is obviously you just don't miss. Here, there's going to be a heal machine, but we're not going to take it, because we want the Blaze that we have right now. Like, if we've run out of revives and there's some, like, crazy catastrophe, you can take that, but it's just, like, you're not going to be in that situation. Right? Right? Either way, there's 2 Cypher Peons that we need to fight, because the top door is guarding the way to Venus, who holds another ID badge that we need, and Arton, he's guarding, well, the door that takes us to the big door that we need to unlock, and also to Ein. So we need to get both fights in here. So here, we're going to use Hidden Power on the Pilot's line, because we need to save one Psychic, or because there's going to be 2 Psychic attacks on the next fight, and we're going to Psychic the Glalie coming up here on this fight. Like, you can also just call Espeon, but it's wasted a lot more time than just using more inputs to hit power. So we just go ahead and Psychic the Glalie, and head on to the next Cypher Peon. Her name is Byla, which is an interesting name, because Byla would imply that she would be dancing, but that's the trainer from way earlier, High Tower, Toadie. Remember her. What she's going to do is she's going to generally use Solar Beam on Quilava, which doesn't matter too much. Usually you don't even see it, because Flame Wheel is a really favorable range at average special attack. In this case, we're not going to see it at all, because this is 12 IV and a plus special attack nature, so Flame Wheel is just going to be guaranteed. Unless, like, I don't think there's any crazy world where that's just not true. So, we get to finish this fight without too much trouble. And we head over to Venus.
So we go to Venus now, but another thing that I've totally forgotten that I actually really have, so it's making sure that I do actually Elixir Espeon before heading into the Venus fight. Because otherwise I'd be going in with 0 Psychics, and that would be a bad idea. The two Pokemon that we really want to keep track of here on Venus are the Wigglytuff and the Blossom. And on some combos, they'll double target Typhlosion because both Body Slam and Sludge Bomb are going to kill it. At this HP, that is definitely not going to happen. And it also won't matter because we need to Fire Blast this Wigglytuff right now. And we hit. Thank goodness. And Flame Wheel on Blossom is also guaranteed, so we can just go ahead and do that instead of Fire Blasting it. Here, the Suicune is a ranged die to Psychic at +1, is a 95% range. I have missed that one before and died to it, but this run did not die to it, so simple. And that's Venus 2. I'm actually at really high HP on Typhlosion. I keep saying Guava. And with this crazy defense, at 30 defense, that's actually kind of problematic, because one of his Pokemon is a Crobat, and it has the move Fly, but it's not going to use it unless it sees that it can kill Typhlosion. And at 44 HP and 30 defense, Fly doesn't kill. But instead of using Fly and just letting itself die to Psychic, it's going to use Protect. But either way, we're heading over to Ein, and nothing we can really do about it at this point. Wait, actually there probably was a way I could work around it. Hang on, did I mess up? I think I messed up, now that I look at it now. Because what's going to happen here is Rhydon is just going to keep spamming Dig as long as it's still out on the field. Okay, there is a chance that me not tanking the Dig, me tanking a Dig wouldn't have gotten me into Fly range, but for the most part it would have gotten it, so yeah, I actually did misplay. Yeah, almost every Dig roll. Most of the Dig rolls get me into Fly range, so... Wait, no, it doesn't matter. Actually, no, it doesn't matter, because I don't get Dig range quick enough for it to matter. Because I got turned to Crobat, and that means Crobat protects. So, unfortunately, because of this, I'm going to have to take a slightly more scuffed way to kill the Crobat, or kill the Rhydon, because we can't just safely have Espeon use Hidden Power Grass on it, Now if Quilava Typhlosion's Hidden Power Grass was more powerful and I actually had it, then it would be slightly easier for me, but then I would have just been able to kill it on that turn right there. And then just protect against Raikou, I guess. But instead, I'm going to have to protect the dig here. And then after that, I have to use Fire Blast on Rhydon. And if I miss, then I just have to protect again, and then I just use Hidden Power Grass to kill it. But that's slow. It sucks. So just hopefully hit. And hit. Yay. Some of that time loss on my splits is just from my previous PB taking a faster strat, because it had the stats for it. And some of that is from Crobat protecting. But either way, heading on over to the next section. So we have gotten all 4 badges. It's really good, because we can now unlock the door that gets us to the tower portion of Realgam Tower. And just like with any place in a Cypher stronghold, you would expect someone to be able to just drop down from the sky, from the ceiling. And this location is no exception. This is Dioge. This fight's pretty easy. Because of the way the Ein fight actually went, I'm out of Psychics after this one Psychic on Masquerain. I'm gonna have to Elixir either during the fight, or I have to use Flame Wheel on Heracross, which, by safety purposes, I probably should have just done Flame Wheel. But I just Elixir in the fight in this case, so it doesn't matter. Like, either way works. Then we come up on like one of the most complicated fights in the run. So either way, we're going to use our last Elixir. Well, actually, we have one more Elixir, but we're going to use our last PP item that's going to go to Espeon. And then we're going to head to Quest. Bandana Guy Quest. He leads a Nuzleaf and a Graveler. And both of them have some sort of self-destruct move. Nuzleaf having Explosion, and Graveler having Self-Destruct. And there are multiple ways that they can target. For example, if Espeon is not dead to either of them, we call that Case 1 Quest, in which case we get the fastest fight, which is actually the case we're getting here, in which Nuzleaf will fake out Typhlosion, and Graveler will not use Protect. Now, the second case is Case 2, where Espeon is only dead to Graveler at its current HP, in which case Graveler will Protect, but you will not get the fast fight. And then the third case is where Espeon is dead to both Graveler and Nuzleaf, which is a case where you usually have to take some damage somewhere and not heal it. In which case, you get a Protect. But here we get Case 1, which is the simplest and by far the fastest of the fights. Typhlosion got faked out turn 1, and it's going to get another fake out here on turn 2. This time we protect it to make sure we don't die to the Nuzleaf,
using Feint Attack. And then the next poke that's going to show up is a Lombre, which will use Fake Out, but on Espeon. So we're going to take the time it wastes using Fake Out on Espeon to protect and kill the Nuzleaf. And then we have one last Pokemon, and the question is just, who do you donate the kill to, Typhlosion or Espeon? Well, Espeon outspeeds Typhlosion, so we're going to let Espeon land the killing blow on Lombre. And with that, we head over to Snag'em Head, Gonzap. We haven't seen Team Snag'em in a long time, but we're going to see him. We're going to see Gonzap now. Once I get my movement straightened out. And Silva, he's either grown up or he's really good at disguising himself. Probably both. So, he's infiltrated Realgam Tower, and he's let us know that Ascor is waiting, but gotta go get him. In fact, he's right here. I'm gonna run away. So we can't take that elevator, but we're gonna go make sure we can't take that elevator before we do something about it. But Rui points us over to the other side. There's an elevator here, but it's also taken. And remember this guy? It's Gonzap. He of the crazy hair and the crazy buff body. And now he's revealing that everything that's happened is actually a plan by Team Cypher. So, he and Team Snag'em have been working for Team Cypher this entire time. And he challenges us to a battle, because why would you ever give someone information in a Pokemon game without fighting them? So we get the bad combo, actually, Hariyama and Crawdon. So, we gotta protect Typhlosion here. And the reason this combo is bad, it's not because of that protect, it's because every combo is going to need to waste a turn by either protecting Typhlosion or calling Espeon at the end. The reason it's bad is because the way this fight goes is you'll eventually end up with a Shiftry and a Skarmory, which Espeon cannot one-shot either of them. But fortunately, with this defense, and also 38 HP on Typhlosion, it can tank Shadow Rush from Skarmory, which means you're not losing too much from this. You still lose a turn, but you don't have to go through really weird plays. Instead, just protect Espeon, because Skarmory's going to aim Stealing at Espeon instead of Shadow Rush at Typhlosion. Now we just waste Espeon's turn here. Technically I could go for a double protect just for the heck of it, but if it does succeed you actually lose time, so calling is more consistent at this point to waste the turn instead of using a second protect. And if you remember Dakum 2, double protect
does work sometimes. And with that, you get to take the elevator. I just mash like A or B on that yes/no text box. I don't even know what it's asking, but I just mash it. Like, I'm just gonna be real about it. Also, I haven't used that one elixir, so I'm just like, you know what, screw it. Put myself back on full Fire Blast BP while I'm at it. Not to mention, not using the elixir would have left me at 4 Flame Wheels, which I think is still fine, but kind of scary, just at first glance. And also, we're going to be swapping Metatite to the front now. The reason we swap Metatite to the front is because whatever party we enter the Tower Colosseum at is going to be the party that we're going to be sending out for NASCAR and whatever is to follow. If there is anything. First, it's the Tower Colosseum. I have 3 minutes of time save, even though the YouTube video is not going to show it. Basically, my last PB got dumpstered here in Tower Colosseum, but I also misplayed super hard, so I made it a lot worse than it should have been. But here's the standard Tower Colosseum, where you just haven't died at any point in entering the section, which means Metatite is still alive because you haven't had to revive Typhlosion and have Metatite die yet. A little fun observation is actually, Metatite usually does not have 2 bars of its Shadow Bar taken down by this point. Like, all of that's come from exclusively party step counter advancement. So it's actually gaining experience here on this fight. It's just that we're never going to see it because we don't care. It doesn't change the experience route, but it's an interesting observation. And also Zangoose is going to go ahead and do the killing of Metatite, which means for the rest of the Tower Colosseum, we're going to be sending out Espeon and Typhlosion. But we'll have Metatite in slot 1 for NASCAR. So we mash A here to Psychic Porygon 2 and Fire Blast the Zangoose. Goodbye, Zangoose. If Fire Blast misses, you can use Hidden Power here to kill the Zangoose. You're at +1. But obviously that's a turn lost. And also Zangoose can do a lot of chunk damage with, especially if slash crits. But hit the Fire Blast and who cares? Wow. And now we get Ryder whatever this guy's name is. The text box shows up super early for some reason on this fight. It's like, what? You're not even done walking. I'm clearing your text box and waiting for nothing to happen. Dellen is guaranteed to send out his Shadow Absol, and he can send out his Mightyena or Sharpedo as his second lead. In this case, we get Mightyena. So we get the Shadow Pokemon and the Intimidate animations right away. It doesn't really matter, I'm just pointing that out. I don't know why, but I am. Either way, with a normal fight, you're not taking damage here, but in this case, it's contingent on hitting Fire Blast, and we do. And it does one-shot the Mightyena. With a Sharpedo lead, you'd have to Fire Blast Absol, which is a range, actually. But maybe not with this special attack. Because Absol uses Swords Dance, leaving it alive for a turn doesn't really cause us to get hit. So we head on to the Nella fight. Cypher Peon Nella. wasn't clear enough that Team Cypher is in charge of the Tower Colosseum, we're going to start fighting some actual Cypher peons. So Nella, she's going to lead her Shadow Houndoom and a Torkoal. And coming up after we one-shot the Torkoal is going to be a Mag Cargo. And Mag Cargo is going to be guaranteed to die to an Earthquake. And Houndoom is not guaranteed to die to Earthquake. And Earthquake is a spread move which can hit Espeon as well. So, can be a little troll to miss the range, but from full HP, it shouldn't matter if I hit it or not. I don't hit level 50, which makes the range worse than it actually is, than it normally is, which is unfortunate, but I think a little thought that I had while I was, like, right after the run was, wow, I would have hit level 50 if I hit the 8-palm range on Irma. A lot of small things can snowball. I don't know if that's actually true though, so I'll probably check that while I'm at it now. Might as well. Either way, done with that fight, and we get one last fight before we get to face Nascor finally. So here, Ston has a Shadow Tropius, which he's guaranteed to send out, and he can send out either his Cradily, his Cacturn, or his Vileplume. So we get Vileplume, I think. I wasn't paying attention. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna Fire Blast that Tropius. Yeah, I would have had level 50 for the Houndoom if I hit the 8-palm range. This goes to show you how many things can snowball, how things can really matter throughout. Like, it's not the most important piece of experience, just to be clear, but that would have been a thing if I hit the 8-palm range. Either way, so we one-shot the Tropius and the Vileplume. And now we get the Cradily, and one-shot the Cacturn. And Cradily has Ancient Power, and it's going to target Typhlosion. And it can boost stats, all of its stats. Other than its HP, obviously. Wow, it actually did. Okay. Well, the good news is I still have a Psychic in the back, and even at +1, Cradily is outsped by Espeon, so just Psychic it, kill it, move on to the last fight of the run. Or, yeah, the last fight of the run. We're gonna go fight Cypherhead Nascor. Been a little over 3 hours since we first saw him exiting the mayor's house, and we get to finally fight him. It's crazy sprite. And let me go ahead and say this right now. The NASCAR theme in the battle, not this one, but in the battle, the NASCAR theme is absolutely brilliant. So, shall we start? Outside of the Shadow Pokemon, NASCAR's leads are also random, so, and there are a lot of combinations, and there are a lot of things that can happen. And this is why Meditite was in the front, because we need some death fodder while we pump some X specials into Espeon. So, goodbye, Meditite. Absolutely dead to Drill Peck, if it wasn't clear. Goodbye, Meditite. You did well. And now we're going to send in Typhlosion. What that's going to do is we're going to take Ice Beam damage from the Wall Rain because it's choosing to use Ice Beam instead of Waterfall. Ice Beam does more damage to Meditite, so that's why NASCAR used Ice Beam. But by taking that damage, I'm actually dead to Waterfall, so I have to make sure I kill Wall Rain, so I use Espeon's turn to kill that. But hey, I have good special attack. Fire Blasting Xantu is either really favorable or just flat out guaranteed. I actually don't know. Either way, I get the kill. NASCAR is guaranteed to send out Blaziken to replace the Walrein in this case, but it can send out almost anything here, aside from its Shadow Pokemon. So we get the Gardevoir, and we get turn 3 X Specials here. NASCAR has 2 X Specials he can just randomly use on any turn, so he chooses to use them here, which is actually kind of scary, because this means that Gardevoir's Psychic is guaranteed to absolutely demolish Typhlosion now. So we need to hit here, and we do. With a good enough Fire Blast roll, you can actually just use Earthquake instead of having to Fire Blast again on the Gardevoir, so that's what I do here. I just go ahead and Earthquake here. And Earthquake goes ahead and hits the Shadow Metagross, the Shadow Pokemon that Zallo is warning us about, but hey, it's a Steel type. It has a type weakness to Typhlosion, so we're chillin'. And we get to waste a turn on Espeon, because we don't really need to do anything at this point. Because Metagross won't take too much damage from even a +2 Espeon, so just go ahead and let Typhlosion finish it off. And with that, it's the run. Wait, what's going on? Yep, really going ahead and asking the question that is most logical at this point. Isn't NASCAR the boss? And also, what is the mayor doing here? Oh my goodness. He is evil. And with that, we get one last fight. One more fight. And in some cases, depending on the leads from Evice, we may have to sack Umbreon as well as Meditite. And this is one of those combos where you'd want to do that. Because Meditite, or no, Machamp has Earthquake, which absolutely destroys everything, including Typhlosion, so we need to get that. Don't have a choice. We need to get that out of here. Get it out, get it out, get it out. And we get the turn 1 X attacks now, so it means that we're going to be keeping Meditite alive for a little longer, which is also fine. Salamence has Dragon Dance, which he can use if he can't kill something, but no. So it would have used Aerial Ace, but instead it just, in this case, it didn't do that. So here we're going to go for Hidden Power on Slowking, even though this won't kill. It will put it in really low HP though. And what that will do is mean that we can use Earth Kill 3 Pokemon in one turn, basically. Actually no, not 3, just 2. Kill both Pokemon that are here right now. Slowking's going to use Psychic here while we're at it. And lowers our special defense, but shouldn't matter. I'm gonna send in Slacking here. And I'm gonna use Earthquake to chip it, or Psychic to go ahead and kill next turn. And we're gonna kill Slowking while we're at it. And we can go ahead and use Psychic to kill Slacking here, and then Flame Wheel to kill Scizor. The reason Meditite's defense way back when mattered is because on Scizor leads, it's going to aim Silver Wind at one of either Meditite or Espeon, depending on how their defenses compare. But we don't care about it, because we just one-shot it. And with that is the game. Yeah. A little bit of text mashing, but that is how my PB went. Be a little bit of story stuff, and Ho-Oh comes in and beats down Evice's helicopter with Sacred Fire. Really nice ending. That being said, I'm gonna stop stream once time is up. Once we get time. I hope y'all enjoyed this. This is probably it for me doing super crazy attempts on this game. So that's a 3:30:55. So yeah, super happy with it. And